all of these stories, and you brought this up a couple times, are in your book, Dennis Maruk, The Unforgettable Story of Hockey's Forgotten 60-Goal Man. And I want to draw attention to that title, because obviously you chose that title. Explain your thinking behind hockey's Forgotten 60-Goal Man. What is your sentiment behind that?
Well, I think a lot has to do with where I played, the places I played, and the weak teams and the franchises that I didn't get the recognition that other players did get. And I still think at times where I do events and stuff like that, and I'll sit down with the table, and there's only been 20 players ever to score 60 goals in the National Hockey League, and I'm one of them. But there's two guys that a lot of people want to sit around and do a little question and answer period, and I ask them, and the two guys that they don't find out who scored 60 goals more was myself and Bernie Nichols. Bernie Nichols had 75, I think, one year, and that was the most he ever had. But when you go down the list, people get all the other guys, but they don't get us.
That's fascinating.
The Burries, the Gretzkys, Lemieux, go down the list of Lions, Burry, all that. So that's part of it. And I just think the whole thing was that, I had 136 points, and people call me a goal scorer, but I had 76 assists that year.
Yeah.
And I had over 500 assists as a pro hockey player. I was more of a playmaker as well, but I knew how to score. I knew in situation, but I consider myself more as a playmaker and all that. So, and like Ovechkin, I go to DC and all that kind of stuff and watch a few games, and I meet them, and he just says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to break that record. That's yours."
You know what?
There's no way I'm going to get 76 assists, and there's no way I'm going to get 136 points.
Yeah.
So it says I beat you in the goals, but
I love that.
Other than that, the record's going to be yours.
Is Washington?
What's that?
Is Washington the team that you kind of root for now, or are you root somewhere else now?
I always root for Toronto Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals.
Awesome.
Mainly the Washington Capitals. Growing up as a kid, I've always wanted to play. I tried to get traded to Toronto.
Yeah.
And Lou Nanny wouldn't trade me because we were still in the Chuck Norris division. We called it the Chuck
Norris division. I love that.
But Wendell, he'll say the same thing. But that's what it was, and he would never trade me there.
Well, you know what? I'm thinking too, in this, it's all timing and errors, and a lot of the guys that could make more money signing autographs than the great players did back in the day.
Right.
But if you were playing in this era with the TV broadcasts, and it's a lot more global, and people would have known you better. But even today, we have great players on the West Coast.
Right.
And from our point of view in the autograph business, the memorabilia business,
right.
If you're on an East Coast team, Toronto, Montreal especially, New York, Chicago, Pittsburgh, you're on the highlight reels more often because you make the 11 o'clock news.
Right.
All that stuff affects your ability to hit the newsreels, and that is affecting your popularity, et cetera. Guys like Kopitar out in the West Coast.
Sure. We don't see it quite as much.
No, you don't see that.
Exactly.
Was your decision to finally write the book or be involved in the release of the book, was that your attempt to set the record straight? Was it your attempt to kind of solidify your legacy, or was it more just to tell the story of your life because it's interesting as it is? Like, was there any sense of I'm putting this out there because people need to know there were players other than the superstars in the era that I played the game? Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Sign Off, a Frameworth Podcast. Just a reminder that we have full episodes of the Sign Off available wherever you get your podcasts, on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Make sure to like and subscribe on whichever platform you use. You can find us on Twitter at Frameworth Sport or on Instagram at Frameworth Sports. And hey, if you're not sick of me yet, you can find me on Twitter at Retrograde Mikey. Finally, feel free to send us emails with your questions you want us to answer on the show, and we may feature you live. You can do that by sending your emails to signoffpod@frameworth.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you with a new episode every single Thursday.